Say a pleasant good evening to a man who's no stranger to the Observer, Couva South MP and UNC Shadow Minister of Labor, Mr. Rudy Aindarsingh. Pleasant good evening, sir.
Thank you very much, Mikee K, and it's once again good to be on the
Observer. Thank you so much. I know it's been a hectic day for you, a hectic period, because, of course, today we honor the working class, as well as Labor Day here in Trinidad and Tobago. And just to give a history, because based on what we're seeing today, people are questioning how effective the trade union is. And I'm not looking for kinks in their armor, because the trade unionization in this country came about because of the lower classes didn't have representation and power, workers didn't have protection, also no means of advancing their interests in the workplace, and so there was a need to have someone represent their interests as far as safer working conditions, better benefits, better pay, and equality. But as it stands now, many people are questioning just how effective is it, and is it playing the role that it was meant to play from the time it started? Tell us.
Well, a very important observation you have made, whether Labour has really been able to articulate its interests over the last 8 years and so on. And today it was instructive that I was listening to the address by the President General of JTAM, Comrade Ansel Roger, and he made a pronouncement and a statement that no government, with the exception of the government of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, has attempted to eliminate the trade union movement in the workplace to undermine the free and fair collective bargaining process, where the office of the chief personnel officer has more or less been emasculated. So from where we stand today, if you look back at the 1930s and so on, while we are in the digital age and we are in the technological age and so on, the conditions of workers probably borders on what we may call what existed under slavery and indentureship under Keith Rowley. There is no sense of independence. There is an autocratic government that is undermining not only the labor laws of the country, but is undermining the constitutional framework, the independent institutions, and that is why labor has to play a very critical role in terms of its intervention.
Yeah, but you have Comrade Ozzy Warwick, the Chief Education and Research Officer of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union, OWTU, who says that we have to rescue ourselves. Our country has descended into a barbaric state. He urged members of the public to also join in their battle to remove the government and fight for workers' rights. But then you have someone who was there as well as a financial member of the Industrial Workers Union saying that he was not happy by the representation given by the trade unions. He said these union leaders are hypocrites because instead of unite as one and come together and make a stand against the government, say something like shut down or let's protest, he believes that they're being mama-guide and the public and everybody is being taken down the wrong path. I mean, those are some very strong words. I mean, are we seeing here that, or are we observing where the labor movement has become somewhat of a liability, especially when it seems that if there's a deal on the table, many people who are interested in obtaining these government agencies or government enterprises are saying, listen, we are going to get it, we're going to pump money into it, but it must be union-free. And is the government abiding by such a move?
Well, yeah, if you look at what has happened in relation to Petrotrain Caroni 1975 Limited, the sending home of approximately over 1,500 workers at TSTT and so on. TSTT has been more or less reduced to a shell. There seems to be some kind of directive. I do not know if it is coming via the International Monetary Fund or simply the PNM has never been on the side of labor and the working class, and they want to eliminate the role of trade unions, the recognized majority union in the workplace and so on. So this is probably deliberate on the part of the government, which has betrayed totally the memorandum of understanding that they signed with the labor movement prior to the general elections of 2015. Over the last 8 years, over 150,000 persons have lost their jobs, and we see where the government has imposed 5 increases in the price of fuel. The cost of food inflation is risen to be around 20%, whilst workers have been asked to bear the biggest brunt by existing on 2012-2014 wages in 2023. And at the end of the day, the collective bargaining process has been hijacked by the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance. There is no independence of the judges at the Industrial Court because their security of tenure is beholden to the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago in terms of their reappointment and so on. So it is a sad, sad state of affairs. Crime has impacted on the workplaces. I know of employers who cannot find workers to work the 10 to 6 shift. Their cost in terms of security measures, surveillance and so on has increased, and that has put them in a very vulnerable position also. And when we look at the whole question of the state of the National Insurance Fund in this country, that is on the verge of collapse because the government has been warned since 2015 about the state of the National Insurance Fund, and they have done nothing to improve the financial sustainability of this fund. And at the end of the day, we do not know if the retirement age will be increased, contribution rates will be increased, and this is why it is incumbent upon the labor movement to be very aggressive in terms of their militancy in meeting and treating with
and that's the key there, Mr. Aindarsingh. That is the key there as far as being aggressive. I mean, basically what we're seeing here is this is even lesser than passive diplomacy. Because when you look at it, what are people gathering for? I mean, to honor such a time, to honor a day as far as for the working class. But what is the agenda that they gather with? None of these things seem to be on the agenda to be addressed. As far as better working conditions, as far as equality, as far as equity across the board, as far as retirement and NIS and all of that. It seems as though it's a day that everybody goes out. It's a holiday. We have some pillow. You wear your T-shirts. You whine. You dance. You jump. But that does nothing for the working class. And I have to ask the question from a political perspective. Do you believe that somehow these unions are now a liability as far as dealing with the interests of the people in this country?
Well, the rank and file of the respective unions, the membership, will ultimately make that decision because, for example, I know that the acceptance of the 4% by certain unions have caused ripples within their respective memberships and so on. This was clearly demonstrated when the Prison Officers Association recently had a sports day where the Minister of National Security was present, the Commissioner of Prisons was present, and they sent a very clear message that they were not part and parcel of the 4% wage settlement. Until today, we have not been told by the Industrial Court of Trinidad and Tobago, the Essential Services Division, how this 4% was arrived at, what was the yardstick, what were the figures, what were the data presented, what was the arguments in the context of transparency and accountability. And that begs the question whether members of the essential services of the Industrial Court bow to political pressure, taking into consideration that their reappointment is beholden to the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, but also as well, when you look at it, to have something as strong, the union itself to be as strong as it should be, the union needs to be independent of that of the employer. But when you have reports of labor union leaders who have contracts within the same enterprise that they want to negotiate with. Doesn't that come across as a bit compromising, and it simply doesn't add up? I mean, how do you, you know?
If it does exist, obviously the issue of conflict of interest and whether it will be independent, whether the bargaining position adopted by the unions would be in the best interest of the membership and so on. And this is why I made the point that if indeed these things exist, it is up to the rank and file to apply the necessary political pressures, I would say, in the context of organization to ensure that there is thorough accountability and good governance and so on. Another issue I think that is of paramount importance and critical importance is health and safety in the work environment, and this was clearly demonstrated and came to the fore recently with another explosion at the last Thursday on the Naikwan GTL plant, the gas to liquids plant in Pointe-à-Pierre. 2021, if my memory serves me right. In April, there was an explosion on this plant. We raised the question whether the Occupational Safety and Health Agency thoroughly investigated this explosion. Who gave the directive to resume work? Up till today, those reports have not been made public, and it comes against the backdrop of the state-sanctioned murder. I would use that as it would phrase as it relates to the incident at Paria fuel trading. 4 persons lost their lives in an unparalleled and unprecedented industrial accident. Up till now, whilst the Commission of Inquiry report is being compiled by King's Counsel, Jerome Lynch, where the Occupational Safety and Health Agency report into that diving tragedy? What has been done by the OSH agency? Work has continued in the energy sector. Where is the regulations for deep sea diving and commercial diving and so on in the context of what transpired in Paria? And I'm saying 2 years has come and gone, and the workers need to lift their voices collectively from a very militant point of view to let the Minister of Labour know that he has failed the working class on health and safety standards in the work environment. And tomorrow, hopefully, if it is allowed by the Speaker, a question has been filed on whether the OSH agency has secured the accident, the workplace environment as it relates to this explosion which occurred on the Naikwan compound last Thursday. If they have secured it in accordance with Section 47 of the Occupational Safety and Health Act, who will launch who will head the investigation, and when will the investigations be completed, and so on. Else, this plant needs to be shut down.
Yeah.
Someone in the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs needs to tell us and the Ministry of Labour whether the Naikwan plant is safe to conduct business and whether people who are working there are at risk because the Occupational Safety and Health Agency has failed the workforce.
Yeah, you also, of course, touched on at your last, I believe your last function, you did touch on the political aspect of things, of what was taking place in the UNC, and you made it clear that looking at where it is that the party got its roots from and its start from, that regardless of whoever leaves, they cannot be bigger than the history and the purpose that the party serves.
Yes, and I will continue to make that point. The United National Congress was born out of that struggle for peace, right, and justice. Those of us who may be students of history and so on, and understand Bloody Tuesday and the 18th of March 1975, which gave birth to the ULF, and it has incarnated into different political vehicles. And today it is the UNC. It was built on political discipline, men of stature, women of stature, who understood a particular cause, a struggle to take on the might of the PNM in the context of that working class struggle and so on. So when those who are entrenched in the UNC are men and women who are not political grasshoppers in Trinidad and Tobago. People may want to feather their own nest, people may have their own agenda, but those in the UNC will continue to act in the defense of the ordinary people and the working class in this country.
And relative to what you're saying, tell us, what does this local government election mean to you?
Simply, the electorate, the over 150,000 persons who have been wronged by this government, wrongfully dismissed because of the policies adopted, those who are the victims of crime, whose families have been murdered, traumatized, home invasion, who cannot get water in their homes, potholes left, right, and center in every nook and cranny of this country. You cannot get CDAP tablets. You cannot get social relief from the Ministry of Social Development. Flooding is the order of the day, whether you live in north, south, central, east, west, Charlottesville, Scarborough, all parts of this country. And while there is no elections in Tobago, I am saying that there is the need to send a message and vote out the PNM of Dr. Rowley in the upcoming local government election.
And going back here, of course, you accused this current administration of being the most anti-working class government, anti-worker government, anti-union government. That, of course, has resulted in over 150,000 people losing their jobs over the last 8 years. And, of course, we had the pandemic and we had everything. Taking this into consideration, what do you predict for our country moving forward?
The country cannot get better unless Dr. Rowley and his incompetent cabinet and ministers are removed from governing Trinidad and Tobago. We can only, the statistics, the direction of the country, as I said, whether it is national security, murders, flooding, no economic growth, no diversification of the economy, no creation of jobs. They are trampling on the Constitution and independent institutions and so on. So there is no hope under Dr. Rowley and the People's National Movement. So that is why this local government election must be seen as a referendum on the governance of the PNM.
All right. Thank you so much for taking time out for linking with us on this Labor Day. Thank you so much. And we'll be speaking to you, of course, in the near future. Thanks once again.
Thank you very much, Mikee K.